Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes, and I want it all from the lights to the mistletoe.
And then let's go to the right. Here on this pile of newspapers, which are actually postage stamps. Can you see that? This is like a bundle of postage stamps. I got them in a happy mail from one of my German viewers a very long time ago. And to be honest, I was like, shall I use them for this project? Because they are just so cute. And normally I have used them for taking photos, like a decoration for photos. And I was like, can I use them here? And then I thought, when I had them here, like testing if it would fit, I was like, okay, this is just so cute. I have to use them. So I have manipulated this pile a little bit by just moving some of the postage stamps around a little bit. So they are, not so even anymore. And then I have put some collage medium all around with a brush to make sure that they stick together really well. Otherwise, they would go back into their original position. This candied apple here is, or it was, a bell. I have taken some hot glue and let that run over this bell, and so that it like drips down here. And then I have colored that with some alcohol ink. This green leaf is, and also this little, can you see this little guy there? That is this part where the apple was on the tree before, and that is the leaf of the apple. That is actually the leftover from the bouquet flowers, which look like this. Can you see that? And there is sometimes this here. I don't know if you... my camera. I think I have to make more light so that you can see that better. My camera can't handle that. Okay, so now it works. Can you see this little piece here? There are actually sometimes two of these little balls here from the flowers. So normally this thing is inside of the flower, but this is sometimes like two of them wrapped into these little leaves, and that is one of those which I have used there for my candied apple. Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know if you are fascinated about this idea as well, but when I did it, I was like, I have never seen it before. I want to do it, and there must be a candied apple. And Tim, if you perhaps are watching this video, which would make me really happy, of course, this apple is an apple in its original condition. It doesn't have a stick, which you would find on a candied apple when you buy it somewhere. Yeah, normally those candied apples have a stick. But since you don't eat something that is on a stick, I have decided that I want to have this apple in this condition, just with the leaf and this little thingy here, and not with the stick. Yeah. So I thought about you when I made this candied apple, because I can't put the candied apple in front of your house if you don't eat things that are on a stick. Yeah. So then we have here this white Christmas tree. Of course, this is fake snow, because in Arizona there wouldn't be so much snow on a Christmas tree. And on Tim's Christmas tree, there's also fake snow. So I did it here in a similar way. And I've put the multicolored tiny lights in there, combined with some beads from a vintage bracelet. I've taken that apart. So these beads are actually relatively old, and I've just glued them down there with some hot glue. There's another of the bells. So that's, I can't put my finger there, it's not enough space. This thingy here, that was a bell. I know that you can't see it so well anymore, but that was on purpose. I wanted to have something that is bigger, but like round, and that matches the color of these little guys here. And I've altered the bell in the same way like the other things. So with alcohol ink and then frosted crystal embossing powder. These little guys here, so these, you can see there are two different materials, or actually products here. So these little round thingies, these bubbles, are originally like this one here. So this is the color that they come when you buy them. I've alcohol inked them in different colors, like this, a little bit mossy green and this dark red. And these little guys are only half. Can you see that? This one and this one. I don't know if these are still available, but I thought for filling up those little gaps here, these are really perfect. I mean, I could also have used the smaller bubbles, but I thought this looks also a little bit like candy or something, and I wanted to have something that is a little bit different than this round shape. Instead of these, if you don't have them or if you can't get them, you could also use, of course, some other beads or things from broken jewelry or something like that. By the way, the snow on the tree I have made with white acrylic paint. I've first covered the whole tree with white acrylic paint just by putting a little bit of acrylic paint into my hands, and then I've massaged that into this cool material here. And these little thingies here, that is just some grit paste opaque to make sure that this looks like really snowy. And then here we have something that I'm really proud of, and that is a shopping basket. When I have seen the shopping basket in front of Tim's and Mario's house, I was so in love with this idea to decorate for Christmas with this kind of unusual thing. And when I saw it and I got the idea for this make, I was like, okay, I need a shopping basket, but where to get one or how to make one. And if you know me, you know that the option where to get one is the last option, because I wanted to make one by myself. The material that I have used for this, and I'm breathing so loud because I'm just, when you explain something, how you made something, then it can happen that you go through the process for a second time. And that's exactly what is happening in this moment right now, because this shopping basket took me one day, because I thought, okay, I need a material where I can make it from, but I didn't know which material I could use. I've tried it first with some wire. Total fail. I have tried it with some safety pins. Fail. I had some other strange materials that have been like wire or metal or something like that. Fail. I couldn't find something like chicken wire or something that is small enough to look good. So I'm hoping that you like my shopping basket. So this, and I will show you the original material here in the video, because I've altered the material a lot. That was actually a really strange and, in my eyes, kitschy material that I got in a Happy Mail. But this was the solution for this whole thing. I have first built a little box out of this. I've tried to glue that with some hot glue, but that didn't work. So I have used some glossy accents that worked really, really well. And the box is just, like you would fold a paper box. I've glued it here and on the other side. And then I have cut two of these bling bling thingies out from here and left one row of these there where it was, so that you can also see the bubbles, which are actually now the Christmas balls, is that a word, from here as well, so that it's not completely closed here. So these little guys, the green ones and the red ones are colored with alcohol inks as well, and the white ones are the original color. I mean, this is how they come from the package, this white, yeah, and the rest is alcohol ink. And the handle of the shopping basket are just 2 pen nibs, which I have connected in the middle with some glossy accents, and I've wrapped some sewing yarn around it. So this black stuff that you can see there is just some sewing yarn, and it makes it look more like a handle, and it helped me that the 2 pen nibs can hold together better. And the ends of the pen nibs I have bent so that they look a little bit round. So that has several different reasons. On the one hand, this part of the handle is not so long, and it's not, it looked a little bit weird. So I wanted to have a smooth end part of this, and I think this looks cute. Oh, by the way, this material, which you have just seen, it was golden when I started with this. I have alcohol inked that, and then I have smeared some crayon to it to make it look more vintage. And I have also added a tiny amount of grit paste crypt to make it really old. And these little guys, the wheels, are also from Idea-ology, and I'm showing you here how they look when you take them out from the package, because this is probably not so obvious. So the thing where you clip the photo is here on the bottom, this round thingy, and this pin itself, it goes into the basket here. So I've just poked it through the material, and then I have glued it here to the corners inside, of course, of the basket, and now this is really, really sturdy. This metal sign below the basket is also from Idea-ology, but I thought with those numbers it looks relatively cute, because, you know, this is an advent calendar and we will have many numbers here, so why don't we have some numbers below the basket as well? And I'm just realizing that I forgot something about these things, so perhaps you might wonder what this is. I will just go back to this middle one where you can probably see it better. This is this reptile embossing folder, and when you wrap that around something like this, I think it looks a little bit like stone, and perhaps you want to compare that with the material that Tim and Mario have on their house. I think it looks relatively similar. So I've just embossed a little bit of paper and, you know, smeared some archival ink black soot into the folder to get this dark areas. And then I have added some Distress Oxide sprays in various colors. I think pumice stone and I can't remember. But, you know, it looks like stone now. And all of this grunge that you can see here is done with grit paste crypt and some alcohol ink and alcohol while the paste was still wet. That makes grunge controllable, and that is a really cool thing. I haven't worked with grit paste crypt before this year's Halloween, and I'm totally amazed by that paste. Not only that it's so gritty and has this cool finish, but you can do so many things with this paste. I'm really amazed, and it's so easy to use. Yeah, that is really important for me. I mean, here are so many details, and I need something that I can smear on, think a little bit about it, what I want to do that, and then go on. But look at this, for example. This is all done with grit paste crypt, and I think it looks like rust, like burnt, like really, really old, like it has gotten wet somehow and then dried again. That looks just amazing in my eyes, and it was so easy to do. So perhaps I can explain here, but that was a little bit different. It's actually it's the same idea. So on this vignette tray, I have glued some backdrop paper, and then after I had attached these little thingies here that hold this in the air a little bit, I have added the grit paste script, and while that was still wet, I've just dripped some drops of alcohol ink to the paste. Now you might think that are different colors of alcohol ink, but it was only one color. So here where you can see this darker area, there's where I dripped the alcohol ink, yeah? So here was some brown and here was some brown. Then I took a paintbrush with some alcohol on it, and I've let that run here over the like naked paste. And somehow it changes the color a little bit, and that's because, of course, the alcohol ink here and here is way more than when it's diluted with the alcohol here. And when grit paste script dries, it's a little bit like greenish, and that makes this awesome like mixture of colors. I think it's just amazing. Here on this little container, I did it a little bit differently because I've alcohol inked this little thing first. So this was originally a package from some cinnamon candies. I think that's the right word. Perhaps it also smells a little bit like cinnamon when you open it, but that doesn't matter. The box was red, as you can see, and I've alcohol inked that first, then added the grit paste script. That makes that the paste like soaks the alcohol ink already a little bit if you apply it when the alcohol ink is not totally dry. And after that, I've put some alcohol ink on top of the paste additionally while the paste was still wet. I'm actually not so sure if that works so well when you let the paste dry. If the paste is still wet, it can like you put it here and it goes like so, and if you want to let it run further, you just have to put a tiny little bit of alcohol there and it goes as far as you want. And that's for me a really cool way to control grunge, because it stops there where the paste stops, yeah, or the paste ends. When there's no paste anymore, then the alcohol ink can't go further, and that is really cool. I did the same thing here. I think here you can see this effect even better with this green that really looks like a moss patina or something like that. And especially on these ideology stars, I like that really much. I've tried to get a really tiny amount of the grit paste script to those stars to make sure that it is not too extreme. And then I've done the same trick with the alcohol ink. And you can see here this little like stick. It looks a little bit, I mean, if you don't know it, you probably wouldn't see it, but this is the end of the tiny lights. So the tiny lights from the Christmas tree here, they go down, and I had to go somewhere with the wire. I could have made a hole into this thing. I mean, this is wood, yeah, that would have been absolutely no problem, but my process was so chaotic that I didn't think about that enough. And the other thing is that the tiny lights from the tree here also go into the room there. So that is actually Tim's and Mario's living room. Let's look through the window. You can see a little plate with candies there. So that is actually one of those candle stands where I have glued a vintage button on top. There on the left of my finger, there's the candle stand. And on top of that, there's a button. I've glued that with some glossy accents to make sure that it holds really well. And then I've added some grit paste stripped to the button and the candle stand to make sure that it looks really vintage as well, even if the button was vintage, but you know, I wanted to have some grunge. Then I've added the candies. The round candies are like they come from the package, and those smaller pieces, I'm just remembering when I took the photos that I could, look at that. When we look from above here through the roof, like so, then you can see it perhaps a little bit better. So those tinier pieces of candy are just cut from one of these. So I've just taken some scissors. These are really flexible. And you can cut them really, really easily with your scissors, so that you can also create some smaller pieces of candy. And those stars that you can see there, that are actually some vintage beads from a bracelet or something like that as well. And I have also a little jar and a candle in there, but you can't see it from here, but you can see the lights in here. Can you see on the, I can't put my finger there, on the bottom right corner of the screen, you can see the colored lights, and they go from that table there to the top. And that is actually here in this corner. And then they go like so, but below this thing, of course, so that we get like an not direct light to the things in the room. So that means from here, when you see it, like if you could see through the material here, the lights would go up in here to the top, then here to the left, they go down here, and then I've wrapped them around the tree so that I then had the end and the switch that I had to cover somehow. And that's the reason why this goes down here instead of having a hole in this thing, because, you know, my planning was not so extremely good. I think there's an easier solution, but I think grid paste script can solve such kind of problems. So let's take a look at the other things that are there in the living room. So there's a little bottle that has some tiny pieces of candy in it as well. So probably you can't see the candy, but please believe me, it's in there. It's a little bit hidden so that you can't find it so well, so that you perhaps have some candy left after Christmas as well. On the left side, you can see one of the drippy candles. And there on the back, in the back, on the wall actually, there is one of the ephemera pieces with this poinsettia. So I have taken that piece of ephemera and I have added some crackle paint, and after that was dry, I've used some crayons to get this really, really grungy and cool effect. I really like this. This is just amazing. Perhaps we should talk about this window as well. If you look from here, you can see that the door and also the window are a little bit wonky. That's on purpose. That was no accident. I first thought I want to have the door and the window just straight. But when I had that, it looked like, you know, everything is like, this is straight, the roof is straight, even the wood on the backdrop, which I've glued there to that piece there, it was too straight. And then I thought, why don't we make this a little bit wonky. So I came to the idea to glue the door in an angle, or with an angle, and the window as well. And before I glued the window, I've stamped a little bit. Can you see this? This is actually a portion of a stamp. I wanted to have this like sewing thread or something showing behind the window. I thought, when I make a journal, yeah, I would sew. I couldn't sew through this cardboard and also not through the window. So I've decided to imitate that just by stamping a little bit. There on the left side of the window, you can probably see that as well. And then let's talk about this snow that is in the windows. So first of all, let me explain why the snow is there. So every piece of snow that is on this side in Arizona is fake snow. Of course, yeah. I mean, I have seen videos where there's a tiny little bit of snow and I have to laugh about that because the videos that I have seen, I mean, the people in the videos, also Tim and Mario, they said, oh, we have really a lot of snow here today. And I was like, excuse me, but where is the snow? Is that what you call snow? Because here in Austria, we get way more snow, of course. But when we talk about the snow that is here, we talk about fake snow. So the snow on his tree is fake snow. So this is fake snow as well. It's not real snow. And when you look from here, the snow on the window is fake snow as well. If we look to this project from the other side, then it's real snow. It turns into real snow. Yeah, that doesn't make sense at the moment, but in a second that will make sense. But when I applied this is, by the way, Ranger Texture Paste Opaque, I had something like an accident as well that turned into a really cool effect because, yeah, you know, the process. They always say, trust the process. And I think that's sometimes so true, but difficult at the same time. I had the window there, I had the tree there, I had this here, and I had only this little space for my finger, and I mean, my fingers are not so slim, to apply this snow. So what have I done? I couldn't take a spatula or something like that because there was no chance to get that on there. So I took my finger, put a little bit of texture paste on here, and then I've just smeared it on there like so. And then I had this little hole there accidentally. And I thought, oh no, that was not like I wanted. Actually, I wanted to have it like there on the bottom. Can you see that? There, just in the corner of the window opening there. So I thought, let's take a toothpick or something and bring that into the right position. And then I thought, wait, this looks way more interesting. This looks so interesting with this hole. And then I did it here on purpose. So I've tried to get the same movement with my finger. And as you can see, I could get this little hole there as well. So if you want to try something like this, please just try that out. That is so much fun. And playing around with those different looks of snow, it's just amazing. And that is just texture paste. Yeah, I haven't used those fancy pastes like snowfall paste or grit paste opaque or something like that. It's just normal white texture paste because I wanted to have the snow really smooth. You will see that on the other side of the project in a second, because snow in Austria, when it's like really snowy and a lot of snow, it's not gritty, and I needed a smooth look here from this like Arizona perspective. It wouldn't have been such a problem if it was gritty, but you can see this from the other side as well, and that had to be smooth, otherwise it wouldn't be so realistic. Yeah. Okay, am I talking about realism? Obviously. So then let's talk about this letter on there. This is an ideology letter, of course, as well. I've alcohol inked this glass, and there's a little bit of grit paste translucent on it to make it a little bit more vintage, and they give it this, yeah, kind of patina. And for coloring this, I've used some distress paint, candied apple and lumberjack plaid, a mixture of both of those colors, because I thought that that mixture fits the door the best. This lantern is also standing on this pile of fake newspapers, which are actually postage stamps. And on the door, I wanted to have something like a glass effect. Perhaps you know those glass windows in doors, which are, you know, they look like broken. You can't see through them, but light comes through them. I don't know the English name. I even don't know the German name, but that's what I've tried to imitate here. Originally, the door is red here as well, and here. I've just taken a sanding disc and I've sanded carefully these rectangles, only the rectangles. Yeah, you can see, you know, there's a little frame around here so that I had an orientation for the sanding. And then I have added some inks and oxide inks, some gray, I think pumice stone and lost shadow, and some vintage photo here on the bottom. I'm wondering why I can remember that so well, but that's the truth. That's what I have used. And also some ground espresso crayon after the crackle paint was dry to give it like a little frame and a little bit more depth. And I've also sanded some areas of the door itself and then added some inks to those areas to make it a little bit more grungy. And there you can see also, oh, where's my finger? Here, this little guy. That is so, so beautiful. That is metal. And I have painted that with lumberjack plaid. And this is pumice stone, I guess. And then I've just sanded it a little bit to bring the metal back. Here are some alcohol inked bubbles. And here, this little candy thingy is just, I've just put that into a wooden bead, which comes from the stash of my grandma, I guess. Ooh, or did I get that in a Happy Mail as well? Oh, I think I have taken it out from my Happy Mail jar. I'm sorry. But that really doesn't matter. It's just, I mean, that's nice, yeah. Getting Happy Mail is nice, but I'm sorry. But this is just wood. There already was the hole and it was big enough to put the candy in there. And then I've just glued this little idea-ology star to the front to make it look like a little basket or something like that. And then let's go to, or back to this little thingy here. So these are the numbers 3 and 17. Of course, you know, you can't read it like 317. Yeah, it's 3 and 17. That's the reason for this slot here. I wanted to have these numbers here. That has a special reason. Tim, perhaps you have realized that. Don't talk about it, Louise. If he has seen it, he has seen it. And if not, then not. But that was on purpose. So these are these little like letterpress numbers. Originally, they look like this. They come in this raw condition in different colors. So this is wood. The 1 and the 7 are like this color, and the 3 is a little bit darker color. I think I have one here as well. That was this color in the camera. It looks actually exactly the same. Oh my goodness, it is the same, Louisa. I've just grabbed the wrong one. I'm so sorry. This is the other color. So this is the color of the 3, I guess. I think there are actually 3 different colors. There's this dark brown, this light brown, and I think now I have the truth here in my hands. Okay. Hold on. So we have these three colors. Yeah. And I've taken these numbers, and I've put some white acrylic paint to my media mat, and I've just dipped those numbers in there to get a little layer of paint here. And you know, when you dip something into paint, then you get like little irregular areas, like that looks like waves or something. I have let that dry, and then I went over that with some sandpaper, and that makes this irregular look of these numbers. So now we have the doors 3 and 17 here. I even don't know if you in English say, when you have an advent calendar, that are the doors? In German we would say Türchen, or some people even say Türchen, but where I come from we say Türchen, and that is actually the small version of a door. So door is Tür in German, and a small door is a Türchen. And I have always problems with this word in English because I don't know if you say it like that, but you know, it's something like this here, for example, where the 4 is. This is one door, so you can open it and take the candy or whatever is in here out, in this case on the 4th of December. So yeah, a door. Is it a door? I am hoping so much that is the right word. So for 3 and 17 we have this metal tin here, and I've attached that here to the vignette tray, and you can of course open that. Drum roll.
Well, I'm all for Christmas, all the happy smiles and the wishes.